Hello, all my beautiful people. It is time once again for another amazing episode of If You Give a Dad a Podcast. Merry Christmas. I hope that everybody had a happy Christmas. This is Monday after, so I hope that you guys had a wonderful Christmas, and I hope that you continue to have a wonderful holiday season. I am very excited about the guest that I have on this week with me. It is Thrash. He is a wrestler out of the Oklahoma area. I had a lot of fun talking with him. We have a lot in common when it comes to music and things like that, and I was very excited to talk with him. We kind of get into metal and other things like that as well, and we even do a little bit of our favorite metal Christmas songs as well in this episode. I am very excited for you guys to hear this one, and for those of you who are here just to hear the Big Metal Thrash episode, welcome. I hope that you enjoy what you hear, and I hope that you stick around and listen to some of the other great episodes we have here as well. So, if you're as excited as I am, then let's get this show on the road.
If You Give a Dad a Podcast. Hey, Dad.
So where did you actually train at?
I made a really good career out of being able to bump, sell, and I had a punch me face.
I wasn't about to call you dad, so.
Seriously?
I felt like it was in an anime or something.
People get really mad at those videos for some reason. Like it triggers certain people. Yeah.
Bloop.
Wow.
I was actually lost as an infant, and I was taken in by a traveling group of independent wrestlers.
I love it. I'm excited for this one.
Bro.
Getting punched in the face on the daily.
Do you always do these interviews with your shirt off?
What?
Man, this guy won't shut up.
Okay, before I get started, you ever had a design in mind and you wanted to put it on a shirt or a hat or a cup, but you just didn't know who to go to? Well, come on over to R&L Designs, where they make all of your custom needs come true. They make custom hats, they make custom shirts, they make custom mugs, they even do the tumblers and the glass mugs as well. They do key fobs even. They have great prices, and they have a reasonable turnaround time. If you need anything custom, these are the people that you need to hit up today. You can find them on Facebook, and that is at R&L Designs. You can also find them on Instagram at R&L Designs 19. They have a Facebook page. They have an Instagram page. They update it regularly with new products. You can also message them if you have something in mind. Hit them up today for all of your custom needs. Give them a like, give them a follow. All right, everybody. So today I have with me a Oklahoma-based wrestler that I have actually seen perform once on my very first show that I ever went to. He is part of the Villains. He wrestles for Wrestling for a Cause, and I am very excited to have him on tonight. He is the big metal monster, Thrash. Man, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to get to talk with you.
So am I. This is actually going to be really interesting. This is my first podcast I've ever done.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you, you came heavily asked whenever I was talking to Tim one day, and he was like, you need to get Thrash on there. He would be a really good one to have. I was like, okay, yeah. And I'd been thinking about it and everything. And then when he said that, I was like, I'm going to do it now. Instead of waiting until later, I'm going to get him on now.
I'm glad you did.
Yeah. So how did you actually come up with the name Thrash for your wrestling name?
That's an interesting story.
Okay.
So back when I first started, I was not known as Thrash.
Okay.
I was known as Jesse Pantera.
I think I saw that.
And this is a bit of a story, but basically I had my first match.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy, Terry Pantera, he didn't care for that. He was quite upset.
Oh.
So one day I go to an MMA fight that my trainer at the time was having.
Uh-huh.
And I found out that Terry was running the sound.
Uh-huh.
So I went up to him, introduced myself, told him who I was, and he, took a step back and was like, "Oh, it's you." And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Look, man." I was like, "Look, it's not me that picked the name.
Yeah.
That was just given to me. I'm just doing as I was told." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And I was like, "To be truthful, I want to do something completely different. I want a different name. Like, if there's any way you could help me get it changed, I'd appreciate that."
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, sure." So we got him down to the venue, and we did this little angle about where he came out and cut this promo about how there's this punk kid walking around with his name and all this, and I go out there and I jump him. And then later that night, he comes out and reverses it on me and jumps me, beats me up with a kendo stick.
Oh gosh.
But basically puts me in a sleeper hold with the kendo stick, and is like got a microphone up to my mouth as well, and is like, "Is your name Jesse Pantera?" And I'm sitting there screaming, "No." He goes, "What is your name?" And I was like, "It's Thrash, Thrash."
That's awesome. That's a
Yeah.
crazy way to get the name.
That's how the name was born.
So is a kendo stick as bad as they say it is getting hit with?
Oh man, they sting really, really good.
Yeah, I've heard they can get pretty rough.
Yeah, kendo sticks, man, they'll get real rough. They'll slice you open too, because one guy hit me with one on the back, but it I don't know if like how he hit me or if like the kendo stick just wrapped around, but it caught the back of my arm and just sliced my arm open.
That I'm cringing over here just thinking about that. You guys have to be pretty tough to be able to do what you guys do.
Oh, for sure. It's not for somebody that can't physically take a beating.
Right. So how did you actually get into wrestling?
When I was a little kid, my father put on WCW, and we were a WCW household, and I had never watched wrestling in my life, never heard about it or anything. And he turned on WCW, and I see this big guy, Kevin Nash, walking down the ring, and he starts beating everybody up, power bombing everybody. And I turn around and look at my dad. I'm like, "What is this?" And he starts telling me it's pro wrestling. And I was like, "This is amazing." And he tells me that, like, that moment right there, I looked at him and I was like, "I want to do this. This is what I want to do." So it was like, ever since I've seen it, that's all I've ever loved.
So where did you train at?
So it first started out in Bristow, Oklahoma, underneath Brandon Groom.
Okay.
And I was with him for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And I still needed a lot to work on. A lot of green was still on me.
Yeah.
And Paul Puerto Rico came by and he helped me out with a lot of stuff. But I like to give the thanks to who really helped me. I think the most was Tim Rockwell. And he's stuck by my side, and he's really helped me understand. He's really helped me understand the psychology side of things, and like breaks everything down for me all the time. He's like, "Think of it like this or this." He's really helped me understand psychology wise, and he's also helped me physically wise in the ring.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tim's a good guy.
He's a great guy.
I've had quite a couple conversations with him, and I always walk away feeling better after I've talked to him. So he's a really awesome dude.
Yeah, he will. He is the kind of guy that will give you the shirt off his back, and then go and find you a blanket.
Yeah.
That's the kind of guy he is. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he did start a wrestling company that is a charity, so I mean, that does say something right there. He's in it to help people for sure.
For sure, man. That's all he constantly thinks about. He's become a real good friend lately, and that's all I ever see him thinking about. So,
right. So where do you draw inspiration from when it comes to your character, whether that be your wrestling style or your promo style even?
So my favorite wrestler, first off, is Big Van Vader.
Okay.
And I like to kind of work a lot like him. And I'm also a huge Triple H fan, so I kind of like to take his intensity as well.
Okay.
So I try to work work like Vader, intense like Triple H.
I got you.
I also heavy metal kind of comes into play in a lot of that, with its intensity and its loudness and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So Vader, Triple H, and heavy metal.
I mean, that's a good combination. You come up with a really awesome character. I mean, I enjoyed, like I said, I've got to see you wrestle once, and I did enjoy that. I believe that you were doing the villain's gimmick, and it was with Tim, and I think that at this show it had Red James was with you guys as well, and I think it might have been Steven Caballero was with you guys as well.
Which
it was the Bentonville show in March. It was at the Benton County Fairgrounds.
Oh, okay. I remember this one. Did it have that tall walkway straight to the ring?
Yes, it did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was a fun show.
And like I said, that was my first ever independent wrestling show I had ever been to.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool that I get to be somebody's like first experience at a wrestling show.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing was, I don't remember what the exact date was that I think it was like March 8th or something like that is when that show was. And then I recorded my first episode of this podcast on March 11th, I believe it was, and released it. And I said on that episode, I was like, man, it'd be really cool to get some of those wrestlers that I saw at that show on my podcast. And at that time, I didn't know what this show was going to be. It was just, I was just grasping it. I could do this or I could do that. I just know I want to do this, And so it's really cool that now I'm sitting here talking to you, and you were one of the wrestlers that I saw at that show that I was talking about.
That's really cool, man.
It's crazy how things end up that way.
It really is. Life is full of surprises.
For sure. So do you have any other hobbies that you like to do?
I am a bit of a gamer. I am a PC gamer.
Okay.
So I have quite a nice little build that I've made.
Oh, you built your own?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's time intensive right there.
Yeah. and money intensive as well.
Yes, very much so. My daughter is a PC gamer, so yeah, I know how that goes.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But other than that, wrestling takes a lot of my time, which is completely fine. So it's either just the going to work or going to wrestling. So
yeah, I get that. You've got your things that you're passionate about, and that's usually what takes up most of the time. What kind of games do you like to play?
I'm mainly somebody that likes to play a lot of shooters, like your typicals like Call of Duty. I'm a huge fan of a game called Hunt Showdown.
Okay.
It's like based in the late 1800s of Louisiana, and you've got all these like zombies and stuff you have to deal with, and you have to go collect a bounty, and there's like other players out there that you have to worry about as well. But it's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never heard of that game, but I'll have to check that out. We're becoming more and more of a gaming household. My son is my console gamer, and my daughter is definitely my PC gamer. So
that's cool.
Yeah, they've got some pretty cool stuff. I can say this, my kids do listen to the show and everything. So I can say this now. I have one side, my daughter likes your newer game consoles and things like that when she does play console, and my son likes to go retro. So
yeah,
this year she wanted a Series S.
Nice. I just got a Series X.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And my son wanted a 64.
Oh, my first game.
Yeah.
Station, man.
Yeah. And so we were lucky enough to be able to find one of each for them this year. We got really good deals on it. And I'm very excited because now I get to do both sides of it with my kids.
That's cool. It's really cool.
Yeah.
And 64 is probably one of the best systems ever made.
Oh, I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
I started him out on the GameCube though. I asked, and everybody's like, "Yeah, GameCube's probably your best one." Looking back, though, I think it might have been the 64 would have been a better bet because those discs in the GameCube are so temperamental.
Mm-hmm.
They they stop working if you look at them wrong.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So but I'm very excited to get to play that with him. I got the Super Smash Brothers game, and then she's gonna get the Call of Duty and stuff because she likes the shooting games and stuff. So I'll get to play some of that with her. So I'm very excited for Christmas. And it's just there's
like
stuff that I'm excited
for
about.
You.
I know. Hey, that's the good part about having the kids that are starting to grow up. You get to enjoy the stuff as well.
That's cool.
Yeah. So when exactly was it that you started in wrestling? I know that you told me that you trained with Brandon Groom and stuff. When was it that you started?
November 19th, about 5 years ago.
Okay.
So, I started training a couple months before that, but my debut was in November about 5 years ago. So
that was a tag match, wasn't it?
Yes, it was me and my partner who was no longer around.
Okay.
And it was El Gringo Loco and Elijah Sparks. And that match is still up on YouTube.
Okay.
And it's pretty terrible. I mean, I'm just gonna put it out there like that. It's pretty tough to watch. But it's great to watch because I can be like, I've really come a long way in these 5 years.
Yeah, you can see your progress. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny, because I know a lot of people, they've said things like that, go back and looking at my matches when I first started, and I was terrible.
Yeah, nobody
but,
definitely starts out good.
Yeah, that's good. Do you have a favorite match of yours?
I was just sitting there thinking that the other day, or at least my favorite matches of this year.
Mm-hmm.
And one comes to mind, and it was down in Metroplex Wrestling. It was with Wesley Crane.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen him wrestle yet.
Not in person, no.
Okay, well, he's insane. But he puts on such a fun match, and he wants to just do the craziest things.
Yeah.
And of course I'm down because I'm just as crazy as him, but that is probably one of the most fun matches I've ever had. And other matches like with Luke Langley and Dutch Hagen, those are always fun too.
Yeah. Did you have a triple threat recently with Luke Langley? I think it was in the last year or so, wasn't it? It was Luke Langley and Tommy Dean, I believe, that you had one with.
No, I don't think so. I've had so many that it's hard to remember all. Okay. But I did have a fatal 4-way recently with Luke Langley, Wesley Crane, and Dutch Hagen.
Okay, yeah, I think that was for the title, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay. And is that when Dutch got it?
Yes.
Okay.
He picked me up and threw me through a table.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Oh man, it was a blast, man.
Yeah, I know. It's funny because I had the Iceman on here, and it's funny talking to wrestlers because they'll be like, "Man, I got knocked out. It was great."
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Yeah. So another thing on here that I know about you is, like you said before, you're a metal fan.
Yeah.
So who are some of your what was your band that got you into metal?
Wrestling, believe it or not, kind of helped me with it.
Okay.
With Triple H.
Okay.
Coming out to Motorhead. I always liked that. And my dad also helped me with it, and he, showed me like Black Sabbath and Ozzy, and he even took me to my first concert, which was Ozzy Osbourne.
Oh, cool.
And Triple H coming out to Motorhead, really, I was like, oh man, this is cool. I want to hear more of this. And I found more Motorhead, and I was like, this is really cool. I want more of this. And then I kept finding more, heavier, and more and heavier, and it just kept progressing until it steamrolled, and I just found death metal, and it just got extreme and more extreme.
That's usually the way it goes. I think that's kind of the way it was me. I started out with Metallica.
Yeah.
And it just kind of progressed from there to where there's some bands you don't even normal people, you don't want to tell them the name of some of the bands that you listen to because they wouldn't get it, you know?
Right. Yeah, no, I have some bands that I'm just like, I don't even know if I want to tell you this band's name.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's bad whenever even my wife cringes at some of it. She's like, no, don't tell people that.
That's the greatest thing, though. It's just like there's the shock on their face when you tell them, like, hey, you asked.
Yeah. I had an episode recently with Ivan Warsaw, and Michael St. James was here as well, and I was talking to them about it. Metal, for me, it screams when I can't.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing for me, is it's important to me because it helps whenever I, like, say I'm at work and somebody is driving me insane. Well, I can't just freak out and scream at them, or I shouldn't. But
yeah, I don't think HR would care for that.
No, probably not. And so I can just throw on my headphones and maybe listen to some Meshuggah or something to calm me down.
Meshuggah's great.
I love Meshuggah. One of my favorite ones, though, is a Monomarth. They're probably one of my all-time favorite metal bands.
Such a great band.
And I know you went and saw them recently in concert.
Yes, my third time seeing them.
Really?
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah, the first time was in Oklahoma City.
Uh-huh.
And they had Sabaton and Skeleton Witch opening up for them.
Okay.
The second time was in Denver, Colorado, with Grand Magus, At the Gates, and Arch Enemy.
Arch Enemy is wonderful too.
Oh, dude, and they are so amazing live.
Are they?
Like better than the records. Like they just like upscale their records so much. And Michael Amott's guitar playing, he's just a god when it comes to that.
Yeah, that would be one that I would love to see, because I mean I've seen videos of like their concerts and they look like they put on a killer show. But
man, you got to catch that.
Yeah. The closest thing I have for concerts for me is the Walmart amp. So they've had a few cool shows there. Like I think they had Lamb of God one year, and we've had Korn. But besides that, I don't think we've really had that. I think Megadeth came there with Lamb of God. But we haven't had any really good concerts there.
I've actually seen Lamb of God before.
Okay.
And they did a Wall of Death.
Oh.
During it, right? And
Uh-huh.
imagine you know what that is, where two sides split up and they come running at each other.
Yeah.
Well, when they ran at each other and they all got mushed together, they got stuck and they weren't going anywhere.
Oh no.
And I looked at my buddy that was with me and I was like, yo, watch this. I came up behind it and just pushed like 5 people and the entire thing fell.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
He was like, I've never seen somebody knock over a mosh pit.
Well, you're the metal monster, man. I mean,
right?
That's what you're there for, right? So
yeah.
So the most recent one that you went to, I think I saw a couple other people that I know from wrestling who were there with you. One, in fact, was Luke Langley. I did not realize he was such a big metal fan until I started following him on Facebook.
Neither did I. He is an undercover metalhead. I've been doing shows with him since I've started.
Uh-huh.
And we didn't really ever talk.
Yeah.
We really didn't start talking until I started coming to WFC shows.
Oh, okay.
And one day I think he was like, hey man, you really like heavy metal, right? And I'm like, yeah. And he was like, yeah, man, I like some. I like Iron Maiden and stuff like that. He goes, we should chat about metal sometime. And I was like, dude, yeah, for sure. And we started chatting. He goes, well, I definitely am not going to know as much as you. So we started chatting, and he's dropping all these names, and I'm like, I thought you didn't know that much. I was like, you know more than you realize.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's like an undercover metalhead.
And he's one of those ones that knows, like, he goes in depth researching whenever he likes something.
Oh yeah, he'll listen to the whole discography and everything, which I'll do the same thing as well. But he'll go do the whole discography. He'll write a paragraph on it and send it to me, and then he'll put it on Facebook as well.
Yep.
It's real cool. I love that dedication.
Yeah.
So
that's really cool. And I know he had said something to me about this because I had him. He was actually the first wrestler that I had on my show, and that was months ago. And after we were done, he had talked about, you guys had actually talked about doing a podcast together to talk about metal and stuff. Yep. Are y'all still planning on doing that?
So we've actually recorded a handful of episodes. But I've had some corrupted file things going on, so I'm working on that right now.
Yeah,
I've gotten them all pretty much fixed, but I think we're wanting to also kind of like switch it up and do video cameras as well.
I got you.
And get more topics going as well. So
yeah, I'm in the process of I'm researching to find out what I need to do to switch over to doing video myself, because I do have stuff up on YouTube, but it's just audio, so nobody wants to watch that or listen to that.
Because I've listened to a couple of your episodes, but I listen to them on Spotify.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah, Spotify has been pretty great. The majority of my listeners, though, come from Podbean. So it'll be interesting to be able to get that other side of it in there to see like what I can get on YouTube as well. Because hopefully, I just want this to grow. So yeah, no, I understand the whole wanting to do video as well, because it does open up a lot more things that you can do with your show.
Yeah. I also feel like people like to have that face to be able to connect with you, even though they could just come to a wrestling show and see me. But I don't know. Sometimes people want to watch you talk.
Yeah. I don't think people want to see my face, though. So
got one of those radio faces.
I definitely do. Everybody says I've got a good voice, for radio, but I probably have the face to match it. So
yeah. You do have a good voice. You could like be a commentator or something in wrestling.
I've thought about it, and there was somebody that posted something that was looking for a commentator for wrestling recently. I don't remember who it was.
Oh, I seen that, and I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and so I sent them a message, and they said they would like somebody with experience, and I said, does podcasting count? And they're like, sorry, no, that doesn't count. And I was like, oh, okay. It was worth the shot, But yeah, I would definitely be interested in doing something like that. I love wrestling, anything to do with wrestling, In fact, that's the reason why 80% of my podcast is wrestling, is because I love it so much. So yeah, I would love to do something like that.
That'd be really cool to see you do that.
Yeah. So do you have a favorite opponent?
A favorite opponent?
Mm-hmm.
I think I have several.
Okay.
Jason Jones, for one.
Yeah.
Especially out in Arkansas, Harrison, Arkansas. Like, those people out there love Jason to death.
Oh, for sure.
And anytime I go out there to work with him, they're just going to be going crazy for him, and they're just going to be yelling and dropping all kinds of F-bombs at me. and they'll just, you just get all the heat in the world.
Yeah.
Working with Jason Jones. And it's always just a blast working with him. It's just a good little storytelling with him.
Right.
I would say another one would be Paul Puerto Rico.
Okay.
He kind of helped train me at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And I've worked him so many times, and it's always a blast doing it, but I've worked him so many times that I feel like I could do it blindfolded.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So, yeah. But those two would probably be my main two,
okay.
Like maybe like an honorable mention would probably be like Luke Langley, because his creativity is really out of this world. So So you tell him a couple things, and he'll just be like, "How about this and this?" And you go out there, and you'll have a crazy 5-star match.
Yeah, his match that I saw. So his was the main event in that first show, and I think him versus Duke Cornell is
I was
what.
gonna say it was Duke Cornell.
Yes, I think that cemented my okay. I really like this, and I want to know more about this. After that match was over, and that's not saying that the other matches on the card weren't good too, because they were. In fact, there was. I've had just about everybody from that show on my podcast now. I think there's only like one or two maybe that I haven't. And eventually I do plan on having everybody on there. So, but that match that he had with Duke Cornell was top tier. I was more entertained by the stuff I saw there than I was on a lot of what I see on TV nowadays. And I enjoy the stuff that's on TV, but I enjoyed this more.
Yeah, for sure. I'm with you there. Like, the stuff on TV is great. Don't get me wrong, but like going to an indie shows, to me, a lot better because it's just a lot more personal.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
well, I think there's more passion too.
Yeah, for sure. They don't have the whole like I'm making a big contract, big money kind of ego
right
in their head going yet. So they've still got that drive. They still have all that passion and everything.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just prefer the indie shows over the big shows.
Yeah.
If I was going to attend one as a fan, that's where you would find me.
Right. Yeah. No, I like that too. Going back to one person that you mentioned, Jason Jones. I know that you put out there today some of the goals that you have for 2023, and one of them was to get gold in WFC. And Jason Jones actually had a comment on there saying that you couldn't take his WFC Prime title from him. So any thoughts on that?
Okay. He said I didn't stand a chance.
Uh-huh.
That's kind of what everybody has always told me my whole life. It's a whole, you'll never succeed at anything.
Yep.
Well, I've always proved them wrong. So, to me, Jason Jones put a target on him. So, in this near future at WFC, I will find a way to get a match with him. And I will challenge him for that title.
Awesome.
I promise you that.
I would love to see that. I love to see you wrestle again in the near future because I think it would be a lot of fun. I enjoy talking with you, and maybe, we could talk more even then. And then also on top of that, I love seeing Jason wrestle as well. I've had him on the show. I think you guys would have a great match.
Oh yeah, man. We always put a killer show on.
So one thing that I did tell you on why I wanted to bring you on this time, we've talked about you being a metal fan, and I actually have a list here. And I know talking to you before we started, you said that you might not have the full list there as well, but I thought it would be fun for us to talk about our top 5 favorite Christmas metal songs. And I realized after I sent that to you that I didn't know as many as I thought I did.
Yeah. So let everybody know out there real quick that Thrash is a little bit of a Grinch when it comes to Christmas. That he's not the biggest fan of it.
All right.
But I might not have a top 5, but I'll try to throw some out there that I can think of off the top of my head.
Okay.
So
the first one I have on my list is the song Jingle Balls by Korn.
That's what I thought
of. It's just one that I always remembered. That was one of the ones that I did know because I've always been a huge fan of Korn, and especially their older stuff. I think I enjoy their older stuff more than I do some of their newer. And that's not saying I don't like their new stuff because they're just a great band all around. But Jingle Balls was one that first one that came to mind for me. So
I really like the song Run Run Rudolph. It says it's by Lemmy. I don't know if it's actually with the whole Motorhead crew,
Okay.
but it's real old school rock and roll. Like you can't get more rock and roll than Lemmy sometimes. But,
Oh yeah, Lemmy's the best, man.
oh man, he really was. He puts on a killer show live too.
Yeah. And, dude, he just sits there, and it was one of the first times I think I had actually realized that he didn't play guitar; he played the bass guitar.
Yeah,
and he's up there just playing away, singing, and dude, I would have loved to have seen him live.
Oh man, he was great, and I met him for like a split 2 seconds.
Oh really?
Yeah, so that was real cool.
That a little jealous there.
I was seeing Slayer, and Motorhead was one of the openers, and it was an outdoor show, and I got sunburnt because it was in the middle of July in Oklahoma. It was like 112 degrees out, and there was no shade anywhere.
Good Lord.
And this guy comes up to me. He's like, "Man, you look like a lobster." And I was like, "Thanks." And he goes, "Follow me." And I was like, "Well, I was always told to never follow a stranger, but whatever. I'm an adult now. I can make these bad choices." So I followed said man, and he had this special pass. And it got me like access to the side of the stage. There was like this little VIP section, but then like it got me on the stage. So like I was right there, right behind Slayer, listening to them as they're playing. And like,
oh wow.
I turned to my side, and there's Lemmy, and I just kind of was like, "Oh, do I say something? Do I not? Like, is it disrespectful? Like, what?" I was like, screw it. I'm gonna do it anyways. So I was like, "Lemmy," just kind of yelled his name, and he looked over at me, and he just walked up to me and was just like, "Enjoy the show, Mike," right to me.
That's cool.
And I was like, "Yeah, so cool." Shook his hand, and he just like said some other stuff to me. His accent was so thick, it was very hard to understand him.
Yeah.
He walked on, and he had like 5 women with him. So
5. That sounds like Lemmy. 5 women with him. Yeah. Have you ever been to Rocklahoma?
I have not.
You haven't? See, I've been wanting to go to that. My brother always is like, "Oh, we should go to Rocklahoma." He went like the very first year that it opened and everything. And they've had some pretty cool bands that have been there, and I would love to go see it.
That first year, I believe, was like what everybody says was their best lineup.
Right. Yeah. I know my brother went there. He's a big Primus fan. So he enjoyed having to get to see them there.
Oh, yeah. Primus makes some weird music.
That's pretty
I love
them
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love all kinds of music, right? And Primus is great. They make some interesting tunes.
They do. For sure. Okay, so going back to some of the other songs that I have on here, do you like August Burns Red?
I've heard a couple of their songs. Never actually sat down enough to say whether I like them or not.
Yeah.
But
how do you feel about metalcore? Do you like it?
I like some of it. I'm a huge fan of Kill Switch Engage.
They are the best. Are you? Which version do you like? Do you like the Howard version? Or
Jesse? That's a hard question. I'm gonna be truthful. I love them both.
Yeah.
But I'm probably gonna have to say Howard.
Yep.
Because they both sing great. Don't get me wrong. And they both have great like range on their screaming vocals and everything. But man, when Howard would just sing, he had such a strong raw power behind it, man.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where Jesse lacks, in my opinion.
Yep. I loved his clean vocals too. They were so beautiful when they came through, but they're probably, I think, in fact, I made a list just in case it came up of my favorite metal bands, and they're the first one on my list is Kill Switch Engage.
Nice. Have you seen them live?
I have not, but I've heard that if you close your eyes, they sound just as good as they do on their CD.
Yep, 100%. I've seen them live. They sound great.
I've heard that about 2 bands, and it's funny because they're probably they're both in my top 5, and that's them and Seven Dust.
Oh, cool. I say I've never seen Seven Dust, but
Yeah,
I do like them. So
Seven Dust is one of those that they have a style and they never changed it, and it worked for them, and they just keep coming out with amazing albums every time. I think I can't think of an album of theirs that I can't just sit there and listen to all the way through. I can just play it and never have to skip anything. You know, it's just greatly made music.
For sure. I think especially the time where they came out of, I think it was perfect timing for that era. And I feel like a lot of bands have been inspired off of Seven Dust.
Yes.
And have like formed their sound around the Seven Dust sound.
Yeah. Well, they went there for a while where they didn't have any new music that came out. And then I think it was the mid 2000s they started coming out with music again, and then they've come out with like 2 or 3 new albums in the last few years, and it's still just killer music. But yeah, they definitely have influenced a whole generation's worth of music.
For sure.
So as I was saying, August Burns Red, they have Christmas albums out, but the cool thing about theirs is it's instrumental. So it's just metal instrumental music, and it's really good. And one of them is It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year. I really like that one.
That's great. I'll have to actually look that up later.
And there's another one by them, and it's so the song Last Christmas by Wham?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's that, but it's instrumental, and it was really good. That's probably my favorite one by them.
Do you know who Alex Terrible is?
I do.
He did a Last Christmas cover, but it was like, it's very short.
Okay.
And it's not like heavy like Slaughter to Prevail or anything, but it's just like little cutesy music, if I remember correctly, and it's like him doing his vocals. It's really more comical than anything, and I think he's holding an AK-47 through the whole thing.
That's very Alex Terrible like too. So,
yeah.
That's great. I am a big fan of Slaughter to Prevail.
Cool.
I have played them a bunch, and my son is very much a metalhead because I put him in the car and that's what I play. That's what we roll with. And one
Raising
of his
him right.
That's right. One of his big ones that he likes though is Brand of Sacrifice.
Okay, cool. I like some of their tunes.
Yeah. He likes they have a song called Eclipse, and then they have another one called Lifeblood, I think is the one those are his 2 favorite ones by them. But they're really good, and I found them because I was listening to Slaughter to Prevail, and it was like a suggested, you might like this too.
That's cool. I've actually found a lot of bands that way, like especially when I first started. Like, those, like I'm a music buyer as well. I love to go buy my albums and CDs.
Yeah.
And I still do. And I don't just buy to collect. I'm not a hipster about it. I go and actually listen to them as well.
Yeah.
But those stickers that they would put on the CDs and the wax would say, for fans, if you like blah 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 or whatever, or if you like this, check out these other bands on the label.
Right.
So you check that out. And then of course, like, going to record stores all the time, people will be like, hey, we got this huge Swedish death metal compilation CD and you want it? Of course I want that.
Did you ever get into like Norwegian black metal or anything like that?
Oh yeah.
Did you?
Man. I'm into all of the all metal. So
okay. I got into them a little bit, and I found that because of Cradle of Filth. Whenever I started listening to them a little bit, and then it was like, okay, well, what about this? And I was like, oh, and it's so different and unique sounding, and I'm sure everybody listening to us is probably getting scared of us now because what we're talking about.
It's very raw and cold.
It is.
Guitars. Have you seen the movie Lords of Chaos?
I have. I was just about to bring that up, in fact.
Okay. That's first off, the story with that is pretty spot on.
Yeah.
I know there's some Hollywood things going on in it, but
right.
that's basically the beginnings of the whole black metal thing. And
well, and from what I hear, he actually did that, like burying his clothes.
yes, he actually did.
And the dead cat and everything. He would do stuff like that. He was very dedicated to his craft and his way of doing it.
Yes, it was a very interesting craft, but he was dedicated to it.
Yes. I don't know how healthy that was.
Well, it didn't end well, so
no, it did not. But that is a good movie, and it took me a few days to watch it, just because I was really busy. But every time I would come back, I was just like, "Oh my god, I can't believe this is happening." So
it's a lot that happens.
yeah. So yeah, we're kind of going all over the place on metal and stuff, and I love it because I actually haven't got to have a good metal conversation with anybody on here. And go ahead.
I could talk metal for days, man. I'll talk your ear off about this stuff. I'm pretty sure I drive Tim crazy when I start going about metal. I'll just start going off, and he'll just kind of stare off into space and just quote unquote listen to me.
Yeah. Well, he's a hip hop guy, isn't he?
Yeah. He loves his rap and everything, which, believe it or not, so do I. I'm a metalhead through and through.
Yes. The thing is people don't, when you have the label metalhead, I don't think they give people enough credit. When they have that, they think, oh, they only listen to this one style of music, and that couldn't be further from the truth. They're usually the ones who listen to the most broad range of music that there is.
Yes, 100%. I have always went off about that. I'm like, just because, yes, metal is my favorite music, it's going to be the main thing you'll ever hear me listening to, but that doesn't mean it's not the only thing I listen to.
Right.
I listen to so much other stuff out there, except for country. I cannot stand country.
So I grew up in a Southern gospel household. So
same.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I'm a pastor's son. And
my grandparents were pastors.
Okay. So I grew up a lot on, Southern gospel and hearing country, and I have an appreciation for it. I don't like today's country at all. I think it's awful.
My stepdad nails it on the hat, or nails it pretty well. It's rock and roll with a cowboy hat.
Yeah, very much so. I've had a few people on my show that are country music artists, and they're country music artists of today, and I found some stuff that they do that I like. Because one thing I kind of decided early on, if I'm going to have somebody on my show, I have to have an actual interest in what they're doing before I'll have them on.
Oh, for sure.
My one form of music that I never really did get into, I would probably say, is reggae. I've tried multiple times. I can't do it. It just,
that's not one that really ever clicked for me either. I don't necessarily hate it, but it's just to me, reggae, once you hear one Bob Marley song, you hear it all. Really, I mean, it all sounds pretty much the same.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you there. And it's that same guitar line in there.
Yep. Do they do anything else other than that?
They're probably too stoned. Anyways, we're getting really out there and everything on this subject, but going back to my list, I have a few more on here.
Okay.
And this is probably one of my favorites on the list, just because of the uniqueness of it. Have you ever heard of a band called Chugaboom?
I have not. That's a hilarious name.
Yeah, they have a song called "All I Want for Chugness."
All I want for Chugness. Oh, I gotta hear this.
Yeah, it starts out very Mariah Carey like, and then it just goes straight in, and it was great. I laughed the entire time I was listening to it. That's so awesome. You can find it on Spotify. It's but it's by Chugaboom. They yep. And then my last one I have, I don't know where the name comes from. I need to research that because it probably means something and I have no idea what it means. So, last one I have on my list is Rob Halford, and it's We Three Kings.
Oh, okay, yeah. That was one I was gonna throw at you as well.
Okay. Do you have some other ones on there as well that you were thinking of?
Yeah, two songs by the same band.
Okay.
And that's what is that song called? I seen Mommy Kissing Santa Claus
Yep.
and the 12 Days of Christmas
Okay.
by Twisted Sister.
Yes. Okay. Twisted Sister is one of the ones that I think everybody knows Twisted Sister when it comes to the Christmas music.
Yeah,
Come All You Faithful. Yeah.
That album's kind of funny. I get a good chuckle out of that one whenever I listen to it. It's really the only time I listen to it is around Christmas time because like that's about as much Christmas cheer I usually get going on.
You don't do any of the Trans-Siberian Orchestra or anything like that?
Okay, I will take that back. I do actually like them. I've seen them live actually.
Really?
And they put on a crazy good show. Yeah, the lead one of the guitar players is from Exodus.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Huh.
So but yeah, I went and seen them actually with my dad like back in like 2006, I think. And we were like sitting we kind of had far seats, but we had this like platform right in front of us this entire time, and all it had was just a little pole sticking up in the middle, and it just sat there forever. And we're watching the show and everything. Next thing we know, two of the guitar players come down the stairs on each other's side, and they're coming around and they get right in front of us, and they go up on that platform. And this roadie comes up and hooks him up to that little pole, and that platform just makes all this noise and just lifts up in the air. And I was like, well, that's the most epic thing I think I've ever seen at a Christmas show.
That is great.
Yeah.
Did you know? So you know who the actor Christopher Lee is, correct?
Yes.
I did not know that he was a metalhead.
Really?
Yeah, like until I was like going around recently looking, I didn't know that he even had a metal album out, let alone a metal Christmas album.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, he had a whole album for it just for Christmas, and respect.
Was it pretty good?
It wasn't bad, you know. I mean, it was very heavy metal style because you know he was more influenced by like your Black Sabbath and bands like that. So it's more that style. But it was, yeah, I really enjoyed what I heard.
That's cool. I mean, did you know Johnny Depp likes rock and metal and all that too?
Okay,
and he's got an album out.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he's a pretty decent guitar player.
Huh. I'm gonna have to. You said, and that's Johnny Depp, really?
Yeah, Johnny Depp.
It's crazy that you know the people that you would never expect to be a metalhead. In fact, I think it's Kelly Clarkson who said that she's a pretty big metalhead. In fact,
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I think Johnny Depp used metal and guitar playing though to like help him escape away from the crazy lady that he was married to.
Yeah.
So
the crazy lady, she was. Yeah, that's putting it nicely.
Yeah. Well, she's beyond crazy. I mean, anybody that takes a poop in your bed is not cool in my books.
No, not at all. Okay, so kind of moving back to the the wrestling side of what we were talking about. Do you have any goals set? I know you have the goal of wanting to gain some gold in WFC. Do you have any other goals that you have for this year? This coming year, actually.
Are you talking wrestling or are you just talking in life?
Either way, whichever. If you have goals in both, then yeah.
Well, you know, the goals in life is just to, you know, like I used to be pretty serious in the gym, and I was I was lifting some good weight. I was basically lifting powerlifting kind of weight, like I was bench pressing over 400 pounds
Oh,
and
wow.
squatting like over 650 pounds. And my most accomplished thing I ever did in that section of my life was I overhead military pressed I think it was like 270 pounds.
Wow.
So yeah, and I did that for a couple of reps too.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to get back. I don't necessarily have to get back to the powerlifting side, but I would like to get back to lifting and just getting healthier again, better looking, I'd say, for the ring mainly. It's for health, of course, but like just to look better on camera as well.
Right.
And as far as wrestling goes, I definitely would love to obtain a title at WFC and have a title run.
That would be cool.
But I would love a chance to go and actually perform on a main stage somewhere. That would be nice, whether it would be a AEW dark match or it could be some dark match on NWA. I'm a huge NWA fan.
Yeah.
So really kind of like if I could just like get like basically like what I'm saying is like if I could just get one little shot.
Yeah.
Just like somehow get myself that one little opportunity. That would be really nice.
Right on, man. Do you have anything that might be coming up that you're excited about, or is there anything coming up in WFC or anything else that maybe you want to talk about or announce?
There's nothing really, I think, too big happening right now. I mean, other than the fact that like I am going out of state more, so I guess which is I'll be in Dyersburg, Tennessee on New Year's Eve.
All right.
I'll be wrestling on New Year's Eve, which that's pretty cool. I've always wanted. I like wrestling on like cool little holidays like that. I always find that real cool, and so that's pretty cool. But there's nothing like too big coming on other than like WFC shows. I kind of treat every WFC show special because it is, in my opinion. So
yeah,
I am looking forward to that, and we're gonna be out in Wagner again. So you should come on down if you can. Get those glasses.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get that worked out to where I can come because I had a goal set as I wanted to make it out to a WFC show before the end of the year. Didn't work out, but I will for sure be there in this next year, and I look to be there more than once. It is cool though that a lot of you guys are going to Dyersburg and wrestling over there because I know Tim's been doing that as well. In fact, he's holding a title for them, isn't he?
Yeah, and he won a $10,000 check.
Heck yeah!
Yeah, man got gold and loaded.
Jeez, did he at least take y'all out on a nice dinner afterwards or anything?
No, man, he held it all to himself.
Man. All right, man. Is there anything that maybe you would like to say to your fans before I get you off of here?
Yes. When times get tough, don't give up because it only makes it tougher. Keep going. You've got this. You are a warrior.
Awesome. I love it, man. And if people want to follow you, how can they do that?
I am on Facebook. You can look me up at Big Metal Thrash or just at Instagram. I think I'm at It's Thrash now or at Big Metal Thrash. You'll have to try both because I can't remember.
Okay.
I do have a TikTok. It's currently set to at Big Man Thrash, but I'm going to be changing that soon to at Big Metal Thrash.
Okay.
So one of those three is always the best.
Well, man, it has been awesome talking to you. I've enjoyed talking to you about wrestling and metal, and I'm definitely going to have you come back on and we can talk about metal and wrestling some more.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I had a blast.
Yeah. Well, you have a great night, and I look forward to seeing you in the future.
All right, man. You too.
All right.
Hey, everyone. This is Brian Ferguson. If you're listening to this, then I know you are enjoying the Bumps and Thumbs podcast. In order to continue to run the podcast and get guests on the show, we need support from people like you. please go to anchor.fm/Brian, BRIAN -Ferguson, FERGUSON, the number 3, and click on the support button. Once you are there, you'll have options to select from to make a monthly contribution. Your support will help us get on wrestling stars that require financial compensation. Again, that's anchor.fm/Brian, BRIAN -Ferguson, FERGUSON, the number 3, and click on the support button. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your support, and enjoy the podcast.
What's up, everybody? This is the Showcase, Alex Royal, brand new host of When This Microphone Hits My Mouth. You get the idea. We're going to be bringing you guys new episodes every single week, keeping the same popular style format that we had on What Can You Offer, my other podcast with John Cross. Be sure to check that one out, because every once in a while you might see another special episode, and you never know, John might cameo on this one every once in a while. But we're going to bring you unique perspectives on all things Oklahoma wrestling, pop culture, entertainment, podcasts, and really, honestly, just anything that pops up. We're just going to have a free-for-all, have conversations, have guests, and have a grand old time. So be sure to check us out every single week. The goal is to have a new episode drop every single Friday, so you, yourself, your friends, and everybody else listening to this right here can check us out. Be sure to check back.
In a time of inflation, COVID, monkeypox, and Amber Heard, you need to take a break from it all. Welcome to Love and Murder Podcast. With Love and Murder, you get 1 hour a week to kick back and listen to stories of relationships gone horribly wrong. Stories with true crime, mystery, suspense, and just a little bit of humor that's never at the expense of the victim. Come on, join host Kai and Shar over at www.murderandlove.com. That's Love and Murder backwards, murderandlove.com.
All right, everybody. I hope that you enjoyed that episode with Big Man Thrash. He was a lot of fun to talk to. I enjoyed it so much that I'm already talking to him about doing a part 2 to come back on and talk some more with me. I hope that you guys had as much fun with it as I did. He was a great guest to talk with, and I can't wait to see what happens with him in the future. Hopefully we'll get to see that match between him and Jason Jones happen for the Prime Championship with WFC. So I've got some other guests that are coming up. This is the last episode of 2022. 2022 has been a great year for me. This is when I started the show. I started the show in March of this year, and we even talked about that a little bit, how when I recorded the first episode, I said how I would like to have some of those wrestlers that I got to see on my show. And since I've done that, I have had almost all of them come and talk with me on here, and I am very proud of that. 2022 has been a great year, and I can't wait to see what 2023 holds. Next week, I will be having with me Alex Royal. He is another wrestler out of Oklahoma, and he runs a podcast that you've heard me play many times on here, and it's called When This Microphone Hits My Mouth with Alex Royal. It is an amazing podcast. I listen to it as soon as the new episodes come out, and it is a lot of fun. It's a lot like the show we have here, but it's a little bit more in-depth because it's a wrestler talking to another wrestler. And so they have that chemistry to talk about things that maybe you might not hear on this show. So yeah, go over and check out that show as well, and come back next week to hear my wonderful conversation that I have with Alex Royal. He was an amazing guest to have on as well, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy that episode. In the month of January, I'm going to have all kinds of people coming on the show. I have a writer that will be on the show. I have another wrestler that's out of Texas. He's actually wrestled with the Ozark Mountain Wrestling guys. And I even have a guy who is a ex-writer for WWE that is scheduled at the end of January. The last I talked to him, he is still good to come on, and I am excited to have him on the show. I'm even going to have a marketing guy on the show to kind of give a different aspect of that world to us as well. So I've got some interesting things that are coming up, and I'm very excited for you guys to be able to hear that, and I can't wait to see what the future holds. If you guys want to follow me online, I am all over social media. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and Hive mostly. I do have a TikTok and I have a Snapchat. I don't update those as regularly as I do the other ones, but the TikTok and Snapchat and Facebook, they're all the same handle, and that is at IYGADAP, which is the acronym for If You Give a Dad a Podcast. Look me up on any of that. You can also find me on Instagram, like I said, and that's Give a Dad a Podcast. And then I'm also on Hive and Twitter, and both of those are Dad Podcast 11. If you want to, you can also send me an email. My email address is giveadadapodcast@gmail.com. Send me a line. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't. And as you're listening to this episode, I'd like you to go out and rate it, review it. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you like. I actually had somebody recently reach out to me and ask about having a certain guest on the show, and I am in the works of trying to get that worked out to where I can have that guest come on. And I'm very excited to interact with you guys. So, don't be shy. Come say hi. I want to give a shout out to my sponsor, R&L Designs. They are great. They have been very busy this holiday season, and they will be making mugs for me here pretty soon. They will say the "Hello, all you beautiful people," like I say at the beginning of the show on one side, and the other side will have my logo. If you guys are interested in that, I will be having that come out here pretty soon, and R&L's really good at doing some pretty good prices on their stuff. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. You can also find my shirts on Shirtcasters. There are 2 designs that are out there. I will have them linked in my show notes. You can also find the links on my social media pages to those as well. You can use the promo code DADPOD to get 10% off of your purchase there as well. I want to give a shout out to my network that I am a part of, OIW Podcast Network. Those guys have been awesome. They have really brought me in and let me feel like I'm one of them. And I know I'm still the new guy, but they don't make me feel like the new guy. They actually make me feel like I'm a part of the group. And I thank them for that. So I'm going to bring this episode to a close. I love you guys. I hope you have a wonderful week. And I will see you next time. Bye. If you enjoyed our show, come back next week. Come on, guys. You know you want to come back. Might get some laughs.
This podcast is part of the OIW Podcasting Network.